Hi, I'm Courtney Witts, and today we're at Buxton Raceway for another qualifying round, and hopefully we're going to put on a good show for you all.
The 2019 Brisker Formula One stock car season rolls on here in the hills of the Peak District at Buxton Raceway this afternoon. Around 35 cars present for a double points World Championship qualifying round, most of them fresh from Birmingham last night, where Matt Newson finally ended Tom Harris's run of final wins. 2 heats and a consolation in part 1 of today's programme. The final and Grand National coming up in part 2, along with finals for the V8 stock cars and the National Mini Stocks. Straight into the action then with heat number 1 for the Brisker F1s. Kelvin Hassel, fresh from 2 wins at Birmingham last night, leads the cars away. The lone white grader, then the yellows, blues, reds and superstars. If you are new to the sport of stock car racing, the more points you've scored in previous meetings, the higher your grade and the further back you start on the grid. The red tops led there by the new UK Open champion, number 124, Kyle Gray. Matt Newson's in there, the European champion in among the superstar grade, Tom Harris, number 84, 4 final wins on the spin on shale, but his run of victories stopped last night at Birmingham by Matt Newson. Here we go then for 16 laps. The first 8 finishers qualify for the final. Kelvin Hassel, in a car hired from Matt Newson, leads them off. 43 Adam Bamford slots into second place on this very tricky tarmac raceway here at Buxton. Long straights and tight turns, very tough on tyres and brakes this track. Bumper going in on the back of Courtney Witts, wallop straight in she goes. That was Adam Bamford putting the boot in. The leading lady of Brisker F1 bounces back out of the fence and continues on. 211 Phoebe Wainman in there as well. Our 2 lady competitors today both out in the same heat. A line of contact there. Lee Fairhurst in 217 is in there. Former world champion Nigel Green as well in 445. There's Ben Riley in 422. Haven't seen much of him this season, looking for a good result here. There in the 84 is Tom Harris. What a fantastic season he is having, particularly on the shale. But it is Kelvin Hassel, number 13, who leads the way. Courtney Witts gets the bumper in on Adam Bamford. That's the equaliser in there. Little battle that's going on in the midfield. The 2 yellow graders. Courtney coming within a few laps of winning the UK Open, but tangled with a back marker. She now gets some bumper from Nigel Green. Craig Finnegan in the 55 attacks Bradley Harrison in the 25. Also in there was 124 of Kyle Gray, the man who won that UK Open Championship at Skegness, also winning the Andrew Batty Memorial on the same weekend. On board with Nigel Green, 445, chasing after Tom Harris in the 84, carrying the red and yellow checkers of the European champion on his roof. They go past Neil Scriven in number 11, the Gloucestershire Gladiator, as some call him. Witts under fire from Matt Newson. In goes the bumper. You see Witts locking up there. These tight, tricky turns. Number 13, Kelvin Hassel, being hunted down by 464 of Luke Davidson for the lead. Hassel with a consolation and Grand National win at Birmingham last night. His first wins in Brisker F1. He's raced in Britain and America on the ovals, and they're still at it, these 2 further back. Adam Bamford and Courtney Witts were on board with Courtney, taken wide to the fence. Now she gets a revenge hit in, and wallop straight in goes Adam Bamford. Well, I think that's settled that score. A nice little feud going on there among the yellow tops. Meanwhile, Luke Davidson up front has taken the lead in the Kelsa-sponsored 464 car. He's a former European champion as well. Hassel down to second, Harris up to third. Then we've got Nigel Green. Ben Riley passes Paul Hopkins in 278. I think that's another of Matt Newson's cars he's driving. And Matt Newson himself is behind Hopkins there, who bounces off the back straight wall. Almost did a wheelie there down the back straights. Goes out wide as a result. Phoebe Wainman in 211 just behind him. So a few hard hits going in this first heat for the Brisker F1s. Don't forget, only the top 8 qualify through to the final. And already looking good for the win with about half a dozen laps to go is Luke Davidson, the man from the northwest. Tom Harris going through for second. We're on board with Nigel Green. There is the number 13 of Kelvin Hassel. His father Alan, a successful circuit racer over the years, runs a race preparation business down in Sussex. Kelvin has raced on the circuits and the ovals over the years. He's raced in the USA as well. He's raced in Legends cars. Loses out there for third place to Nigel Green. Davidson leads the way then in 464. His family, one of the biggest sponsors of stock car racing in the UK. Tom Harris in second. Nigel Green, the former world champion, now up to third. Then Hassel, Matt Newson going through there for fourth place. Ben Riley behind them. Then it's Phoebe Wainman, Paul Hopkins, Bradley Harrison is in ninth place. Newson ahead of the number 13 of Kelvin Hassel. Phoebe Wainman has got past Paul Hopkins further back, but only a couple of laps to go now. Luke Davidson is heading for victory, lapping the rather hobbled car of Adam Bamford, number 43, after he got walloped straight in by Courtney Witts earlier on. Just a couple of laps to go now in this heat number 1 on the Buxton tarmac. First time the F1s have been to the Peak District this year. And it's going to be a win for 464 Luke Davidson. The last few places sorting themselves out in the lower reaches of the top 10. Lee Fairhurst has pulled off there on the infield. Here comes Davidson down the back straight for the final time. Caught and passed Kelvin Hassel at around half distance, and he comes through to take the victory in heat number 1 here at Buxton Raceway. Tom Harris comes over in second. It's Nigel Green in third. It looks like Matt Newson came through for fourth ahead of Ben Riley, Kelvin Hassel, Phoebe Wainman, and the rest of them will confirm the results. The qualifiers for today's meeting final, which will be for the Al Henderson Memorial Trophy in just a moment. The red flags go out then on heats at number 1. And well done, Luke Davidson, a dominant victory in our first race of the day ahead of Tom Harris. Apologies for the lack of live timing from this meeting today, incidentally. Nigel Green third ahead of Matt Newson, then Ben Riley, Kelvin Hassel the early leader, Phoebe Wainman and Bradley Harrison. They're the 8 qualifiers for the final. Craig Finnegan and Carl Hawkins completing the top 10 finishers.
464 Luke Davidson, heat winner here at Buxton. Quite a quiet race, really.
Yeah, especially around this track, you have to get a break and get past them cars early on the race so you can get going, because it's pretty hard racing around here once you get caught up in a bit of traffic. But we got the job done and got away at the start, and it helped us, and we got the win.
With double points being on offer today, it's one of them as well. Nobody's going to want to throw double points away, but they're going to want to win them.
Oh, definitely not, no, but it's racing, isn't it? Especially around here, it's dead tight, but everyone's fighting for them few extra spots, so it should be a good final.
And what about you? Do you think you can win the final? Who's going to win?
I don't know.
Well, best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Well, young Alfie Davidson clearly sitting on the fence there as we get ready for heat number 2, the other half of the entry on track. 17 cars out for this one. Names to look out for in this one include the national points champion 515 Frankie Wainman Jr. 212 Danny Wainman's out in this one as well, and also treble 5 Frankie Wainman Jr. Little Ted as he's known. So in this one is Paul Harrison, the former world champion, 259 Paul Hines, Dan Johnson in number 4. Just some of the names to look for from towards the back of the field. Tristan Jackson, 101, has moved from yellow to red grade for this month in the 101 car there on the inside. 37, Chris Cowley in the M&M's liveried car. He goes well at Buxton, as he has done many previous visits. 287, Sean Willis, and 275 of Terry Hawkins lead them away. Here we go over 16 laps. Another 8 cars to qualify for the final. Willis leads them away. 313, Carl Roberts into the third position there, front of the yellow tops. 259 of Paul Hines, the glazing businessman from Leicestershire, attacks 101 Tristan Jackson. It's the first lock up there from Roberts in that third place. Looks like they're all just about round the first lap okay. 1 or 2 bumpers going in the pack. There we see the silver roofed car of Frankie Wainman Jr. towards the rear of the pack. Paul Harrison we ride on board with, attacking the 37 of Chris Cowley. Has a look into turn 3 down the inside. You have to be careful not to clip those tyres on the inside of the turns at Buxton. They will launch you into the air. Harrison side by side with treble 5, Little Ted. Frankie JJ, as we've called him. 70 Aaron Leach in that battle as well, the blue grader. 275 Terry Hawkins gets moved wide by George Elwell in 501. Now he's hungry for a win today. He took the checkered flag first in the Grand National at Birmingham last night, but his car failed post-race scrutineering, giving Kelvin Hassel the win. So he's especially hungry for a victory here today. But Sean Willis has cleared off in front in 287. Elwell into second, then Roberts third. Mickey Randall is fourth in the 172 car. There's number 5, Charlie Sauder. His father Mick, of course, the former European champion, XF2 world champion. We're on board with Charlie. Wild Child, as he's known, getting bumpered into the side of the 313 of Carl Roberts. That was 101 Tristan Jackson putting the boot in. Jackson up the inside to take Roberts as they go into turn 1. Junior Wainman in 515. They're on the inside side by side with Bobby Griffin in the blue grade 166 car. Paul Harrison battling it out. He gets some bumper into turn 3. Who was that? That was Junior Wainman in the 515 car. Harrison trying to fight back. 2011 world champion. He gets bumped into the back of Wainman by a whole line of pushing there into turn 1. One of the best tracks for hard hits is Buxton, given the nature of how tight the turns are. Really have to get on the brakes to get round the turns successfully, and that gives the opportunity for the car behind to use you as a brake. Halfway through this heat number 2, and Sean Willis is clear at the front in 287. Are we going to have a white grade winner? There's a couple of yellow graders. 242 Joe Nichols, who had a heat win at Birmingham last night alongside the 172 of Mickey Randall. Danny Wayman in 212 goes through past Carl Roberts. Chris Cowley in behind them. Then we've got Paul Harrison. We ride with him. 1 or 2 threatening clouds in the sky over Buxton Raceway, but this is a track where the weather can change in 2 minutes from one extreme to the other. Mickey Randall's got a flat tyre there on the left front. By the look of things, that could be an early end to his race. He's keeping going at the moment. We're in the second half of this heat number 2 for the Briscoe Formula 1 stock cars, and still your leader is Sean Willis, the man from Lincolnshire, in number 287. His car currently up for sale. He wins here, that will probably help him attract buyers, because it's clearly a quick car. He's coming up to lap 1 of the blue graders as well, number 70 Aaron Lynch. Elwell still second, Paul Hines up to third, then Joe Nichols, then Tristan Jackson in 101, Junior Wayman next in 515. 14 times a national points champion now, even breaking the record held by the legendary Stuart Smith. Of course, we heard the unfortunate news a few days ago that Stuart Smith Jr., the current world champion, has been forced to very sadly retire from racing due to injury. He will be greatly missed by the sport. Which leaves the gold roof vacant for this year, of course. 287 Sean Willis trying to get into the World Championship semi-finals with a nice haul of double points today. He leads the way. He closed down slightly by 5:01 now of George Elwell. Junior Wayman attacks Tristan Jackson, doesn't connect on the back of his car. It looks like we are going to have a white grade winner unless George Elwell can produce something special here in the last lap and a half. There he is, 287 Sean Willis into turns 3 and 4. It was a little bit wide there, but Elwell sideways. He's busy dealing with the threat of Paul Hines behind him. Nichols still 4th, ahead of Jackson. Round turns 1 and 2 for the last time. I don't think we're going to see any challenge to Sean Willis here on the final turn. Elwell not sizing him up, and we're going to have a white grade winner, a flag-to-flag victory for Sean Willis in 287. Second goes to Elwell, then it's Hines, Nichols, Jackson 5th, Junior Wayman 6th, Danny Wayman 7th, then Paul Harrison 8th. Looks like those are your 8 qualifiers for the meeting final, and a fast and furious heats number 2 here at Buxton Raceway. 16 cars into the final. They'll be joined by the top 12 from the consolation race, which is next up. Well done, Sean Willis, taking the win ahead of George Elwell, with Paul Hines just failing to get past on the last couple of laps. Joe Nichols in 4th, ahead of Tristan Jackson. Junior Wayman in 6th, and Danny Wayman and Paul Harrison completing the 8 qualifiers. Chris Cowley and Carl Roberts rounding out the top 10.
287 Sean Willis, Heat 2 winner here at Buxton, and a good race for you.
Yes, it was. It was a really good. I set off from the front and just did the same thing lap after lap, and George was struggling to catch me.
Yeah, you did have a few coming at the end, but they were never going to get near you.
No, I don't think there was. They were trying though, everybody says, but I just did what I needed to do.
And double qualifying points as well, that's going to help.
Yeah, that's the whole reason why we did come today, to see if we could get in a semi. And the thing is, I've been here before when it was a semi and I went really well then. Just didn't get the results. I led all the races, but they all got yellow flags, so everybody bunched us up.
And of course the final's coming up next, so you can get a break in that as well from the front. Who knows?
Yeah, I could just see what I do in the final. Hopefully it'd be good if I get a top 10. That's what I'll aim for, because obviously all the other drivers seem to find that extra bit. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, good luck.
Thank you very much, and just say thanks to my sponsors, which is Richard Hill, my boss, Tony Goods at TG Commercials, and Sam, who comes and helps us. Thank you.
Time for the consolation race then. These are the drivers that didn't make it into the top 8 in the 2 heats. 19 cars on track. The top 12 go through to the final. 7-2 there for Mickey Randall. One car that didn't race in the heat, 137 Sam Jacklin at the front of the lineup, along with Terry Hawkins. Yellows headed by Courtney Witt. She was too busy battling the driver starting next to her, Adam Bamford, in the heat to get through to the final. Is their battle going to continue for a second phase here? Another 16 laps coming your way. Last chance for these drivers to get into the final. Away we go. Jacqueline and Hawkins lead them away. Bobby Griffin's in there, leads the Blue Graders off ahead of Ashley England. We're on board with Bobby, the former National Mini Stocks Gold Top. We'll see the Mini Stocks out for their final a bit later on. And a good start there by the 166 car, getting ahead of several Yellow Graders. Gets some bumper from Mickey Randall. Great shot there from the back bumper of the 166 car. Kyle Gray leading the red tops ahead of Craig Finnegan and Chris Cowley. Ashley England under fire there in 346. The car repaired after a bruising night at Birmingham last night. Track where he took a couple of final wins last year. In fact, last year we saw Ashley England take a double at Birmingham and Hensford over a weekend. Hensford staging the British Championship next week. 1-2-4 there, Kyle Gray, the UK Open champion, as Courtney Witt's up the inside, takes the lead into turn 3 from Sam Jacqueline. She heading for another victory. We saw her take a couple of wins at Skegness at the 2-dayer. Didn't manage to win the UK Open though, as Bobby Griffin receiving some close attention from Kyle Gray. Down the straight also in there, we've got Aaron Leach in the number 70, the Blue Grader, and Lee Fairhurst in there as well. 217 failed to finish his heats. Normally goes well here at Buxton. The 2012 world champion won that at Skegness. Adam Bamford's been taken out to the fence again. There's Dan Johnson, number 4. He's having a quiet day today. Been a very mixed season for Dancing Dan. His battles with Tom Harris have become quite notorious this year. There's Bobby Griffin. There's Carl Roberts getting some bumper from Charlie Sauder. Out of turn 2, down the back straight. Sam Jacqueline ahead of us in the 137. He gets a tap from Wild Child Charlie. Roberts back up the inside. Nice little battle here in the midfield. Courtney Witt still with the lead in 180. Being closed down by the 346 of Ace Ash, Ashley England. Out of turn 4 is the Blue Grader about to take the lead. Paul Hopkins is in third. Then we've got Mickey Randall. Looks like Lee Fairhurst is next in the 217. I think Ashley England about to make a move for the lead. Indeed he is. Into turn 3. Through he goes. Takes the lead at half distance. Union flag out to signal 8 laps gone and 8 to go in this consolation race. Lee Fairhurst moving up very nicely as well. Further back, Terry Hawkins still in a qualifying place. Chris Cowley isn't. That's why he's just bashed 313 of Carl Roberts out of the way to try and move up the order. Very hard-hitting racer is Chris, son of Rob Cowley, one of Brisker F1's longest-serving drivers, who finally retired a couple of seasons ago after a long and distinguished career. There's Dan Johnson in the number 4. Rather subdued performance from him today in the orange machine. 3 Carl Roberts behind. It's the last few laps then of this consolation race. We look back from Bobby Griffin as Kyle Gray gets moved out wide. Griffin a few car lengths ahead of this battle, being closed down by Chris Cowley now in the 37. It's looking good for Ashley England, the Blue Grader ahead of Courtney Witts. Lee Fairhurst just behind them in the 217 in the battle for the lead at the moment. Mickey Randall having a go at Paul Hopkins in the 278. It's going to be 3 laps to go this time for Ace Ash. They're concentrating on the midfield scrap. Bobby Griffin gets some bumper from Chris Cowley. Kyle Gray will try and go through as well, the teenage sensation in 124. Paul Hopkins gets a bit of a clobbering there from Aaron Leach in the number 70. Again, we've not seen a huge amount from Aaron so far this year. Somebody off there on the outside. That's Sam Jacqueline. Look at the left rear wheel on Jacqueline's car. The whole axle sticking out of the side of the car. You'll need a sidecar passenger to get that round. Meantime, Lee Fairhurst is now up to second place. They pass Jacqueline's stranded car. The wheel hasn't completely come adrift, so no need for a stoppage. Into the last lap comes the ex-Brisker Formula 2 racer, Ashley England. Several members of his family have raced at Brisker F1 over the years. Lee Fairhurst trying to catch him, but he's not going to do so. Down towards the final turn. Fairhurst won't get close enough to attack. And 346 Ashley England coming in, just negotiating a couple of back markers, takes the flag to win the consolation ahead of Lee Fairhurst and Courtney Witt. Mickey Randall comes over in 4th, ahead of Aaron Leach. And Chris Cowley, Paul Hopkins and Kyle Gray. Looks like they're the the first 8 qualifiers. The first 12, of course, go through from the consolation event to the meeting final. Red flags now go out then on our consolation. Ashley England, a fairly clear winner in the end, ahead of Lee Fairhurst. Witts having led several laps in third place, ahead of Mickey Randall, then Aaron Leach, Chris Cowley and Paul Hopkins. Kyle Gray down in 8th, and then Bobby Griffin and the slightly off-form Dan Johnson rounding out the top 10, getting their places in the meeting final.
3-4-6 consolation winner after a damaging night last night. Good to get a win today.
Yeah, definitely. Car feels good, so yeah, looking forward to the final. See how we get on.
And it's double qualifying points. Are you on the bubble for getting in?
No, I think I'm quite a way in. I'm somewhere around 30th, but hopefully that's boosted me up a bit, and hopefully I can score some good points in the final and get further up the grid for my semi.
Yeah, the nearer the front the better in a semi-final, but would you prefer here or Sheffield?
Here probably, yeah, definitely. But I don't mind either way. I've got through in my Formula 2 Shell semi before, so but we'll see. Let's see what happens.
Well, good luck for the final and keep it in one piece.
Yeah, we'll try. Thanks.
Plenty of fast and furious action here in the Peak District so far then from the Briscoe Formula 1 stock cars, this World Championship qualifying meeting. We'll take a short break here at Buxton Raceway. Plenty more thrills in the hills coming up in just a few moments' time. Don't go away. Welcome back to Buxton Raceway here in the Peak District at this Briscoe Formula 1 Stock Car World Championship qualifying round. As part of the programme, we're going to break away from the Briscoe Formula 1 Stock Car action to have a look at our 2 support formulas here at Buxton today. The National Mini Stocks coming up a little bit later on, but first of all we'll look at the Briscoe V8 stock cars. They look similar to Briscoe F1. They're powered by Rover V8 engines and run on standard road tyres. Both the heats today won by number 8 Catherine Harris, starting at the front of the blue top. She's aiming for a hat-trick in this one, while Steve Thompson, number 485, has come second in both heats and is desperate to go one better. 508 there of Alex Strachan will lead the cars away ahead of 125 Nathan Lee. 20 laps for the Briscoe V8 final. Catherine Harris with a good start there in the blue and gold number 8. Number 10 there is Gillen Bullock. Your leader is Nathan Lee in the 125 down the inside into turn 3. Harris is in 5th place. There's the number 59 of John Lawrence, under fire from 176 Steve Young. In among the blue tops, the same grading system being used as we see in the F1s, and already up the inside there, Harris attacking for the lead as they come out of turn 2 on the inside of the 402 of James Billows, now down the inside of 125 Nathan Lee, and she's already into the lead. Catherine, the younger sister of Tom Harris of Briscoe F1 fame. I wonder how long it'll be before we see Catherine in a Briscoe F1 as well. She's certainly got the speed and the driving talent, and I reckon she's going to drive away at the front of this final. There's 466 Jacob Downey. He won the final last night at Wheels Raceway in Birmingham. 131, the multi-world and national points champion Kev Stutchbury there on the inside. 485 is Steve Thompson. 2 second places in the heats. He won't want to come second again in this final. He and his brother Craig in the midfield at the moment. Craig in number 490, some knowing them as the Thompson Troublemakers after the end of last season, a controversial end to the National Points Championship, which was won by Adam Joyce. 69 on the inside there is Matt Barnard. Great, Catherine Harris. He's gone out of sight of everybody else. We're only a quarter of the distance away through this final. Home straight, Nathan Lee in 125 ahead of John Lawrence, 59, the ex-Briscoe F2 racer. 131 of Stutchbury behind him. They attack Gillen Bullock in the number 10 ex-National Mini Stocks racer, as are many of these drivers. Matt Barnard being another one in number 69. There's 490, the blue grader Craig Thompson, brother of Steve, the ex-Rebels racer among other things. Steve has raced Briscoe F1, he's an ex-UK Open champion. Somebody's pulling off there in the background. That's Gillen Bullock in the number 10, I think. They come up towards half distance in this V8 stock car final, with Catherine Harris already seemingly set to win it. Matt Barnard chasing the number 298 car. That is Tom Spencer. His family sponsors of the National Mini Stocks here today. They'll be racing for the Sheepy Farm Services Trophy. See that as our next race on this programme, but concentrating on the V8s for now. Tom Spencer's raced alongside his brother Ollie for a few years. They're the sons of Les Spencer, ex-Brisker F1 number 98. Tom just getting some bumper there from Matt Barnard in the 69, who makes up the place. On the inside, Steve Young attacking Nathan Lee. Behind them, Craig Thompson in the 490. There is Matt Barnard, the Birkwood Auto Centre sponsored number 69 car. Catherine Harris is away and gone in the lead. Chased by, I think it's Steve Thompson now up into second place once again in 485, but he can't catch Catherine here today at Buxton Raceway. Fantastic season she is having on both tarmac and shale. Harris is very much a racing family from the South Midlands. Almost 3 wide through there. Catherine already charging through the back markers, lapping Nathan Lee in the 125. The lead from him in the early stages of this race. There's 5.52 as well. Declan Gwynn about to go a lap down. 4.85 there, Steve Thompson, chased by Jacob Downey in 4.66. They are in second and third places. And it's Matt Barnard and Tom Spencer, I think, next in the order. No, Stutchbury ahead of them in fourth place. Apologies. John Lawrence next in the 59 car. 5 laps to go very shortly for the flying Catherine Harris. It's a 350 of Hannah Andrew, another of the leading ladies of V8 stock cars, being lapped by Steve Thompson in second place. Jacob Downey looking for a second final win of the weekend in the MJS recovery car. That's possibly one of the cars that Dave Dorrans has raced earlier this season. He's now moved up to Brisker F1. 508 Alex Strachan attacking James Billows. They're battling a lap down. And Catherine Harris heading for what looks like today's most decisive victory. She's way ahead of everyone else. There's the battle for second, the 2 MJS recovery cars. Thompson ahead of Jacob Downey. 2 red graders playing second fiddle here very much to Catherine Harris, the blue grader. She won't be down at Blue Top for very long with form like this. She had a win at Birmingham in the Grand National last night as well. The other wins going to 154 Sophie Maynard, 324 of Sean Bowman at Birmingham. There's Steve Young, 176. He's now been lapped. As Catherine Harris continues to charge clear. I remember Catherine making her mini stocks debut at Birmingham several years ago. She was just 10 years old then. She's really come a long way. One of Britain's leading female oval racers. We'd love to see her, I'm sure, go full-time into Brisker F1 in years to come to challenge the likes of Phoebe Wainman and Courtney Witts. Courtney, one of Catherine's old mini stocks friends and rivals. It's going to be another win for Catherine Harris, a faultless hat-trick here at Buxton today. Into turns 3 and 4 for the final time. Took the lead as early as lap 2 and has completely dominated this race. Catherine Harris completes a faultless hat-trick, way ahead of everybody else. Looks like it's going to be Steve Thompson, a hat-trick of second places, and Jacob Downey third. Well, Catherine Harris has pulverised her opposition here today at Buxton Raceway. Some brilliant driving from the youngster. Great to see such a large field of V8s here as well, racing alongside their F1 cousins. Catherine Harris taking the win then, way ahead of Steve Thompson and Jacob Downey. Kevin Stutchbury taking 4th place, ahead of Matt Barnard and Tom Spencer, who had a good battle for 5th and 6th. John Lawrence, the blue grader, in 7th, ahead of Steve Young a lap down, and Craig Thompson and Declan Gwynn rounding out the top 10. We move swiftly on to the final for the National Mini Stocks. This is the Sheepy Farm Services Trophy. No grades being used here, it's a qualifying grid. Closed grid, as you can see, based on the results of the heats here at Buxton and the meeting at Birmingham last night. 293 Alexi Bartram has qualified on pole. 934 of Callum Williams is alongside her. This will be a 15-lap race, and this is going to be absolute mayhem. Drivers as young as 10 or 11 years old on this grid. They're all under 16, and already a load of push and shove out of turn 4. Jack Witts, the gold top, younger brother of Courtney Witts, involved in there, among others. Bartram leads them off. They've all just about made it around the first turn. Alexi Bartram with the early lead then of this Sheepy Farm Services Trophy final. Callum Williams gets pushed out wide there by Jake Boynton in the 311 car. Start to fan out 3 and 4 abreast down the straight. Bartram has the lead. Finn Hunter-Johnson in the 120 car, breaking away into second place. The ex-Ninja Kart racer. Ninja Kart racing for the youngest oval racers of all. As young as 6 years old, you can race in Ninja Karts. Here come the Evans twins, 392 Lewis, 381 Tyrone. There'll be no love lost between those two. Sibling rivalry on track, I'm sure, once they've battled their way through to the sharp end of the field. Finn Hunter-Johnson down to 4th place. It's still Bartram who has got the lead at the moment. 285 there, Bryony Davis, one of a number of young ladies in this division. Callum Williams has spun out on turn 2 there, number 934, making his move up from Ninja Karts this season. His dad Paul, a regular hot rod racer in the Midlands. Now the Evans twins have made their way past Alexi Bartram and they're ready to battle for the lead. Tyrone up the inside as they go down towards turn 1. Jack Witts is up into 5th place in the number 1. Tyrone Evans has taken the lead. There's Witts in 5th position, but it's 381 from 392. It's now time for a bit of sibling rivalry out in front from the two twins. Alexi Bartram, 293, still there in 3rd place. Bryony Davis under fire from Casey J. Jones in the number 186, another ex-Ninja Kart man. Won a few titles in his days in the Ninjas. Gets the bumper in there on Bryony Davis, moves her wide. Jack Witts trying to move up into the top 3 now in the number 1. Chasing after the 285 car now is the 391 of Rebecca Smith. Leah Seeley in that battle as well, number 475, all the way from the southwest of England. The leaders lapped the rejoined Callum Williams in 394. Still Tyrone Evans hanging on ahead of his brother Lewis. Further back in the order, Rebecca Smith now ahead of Casey J. Jones. There's 84 of Ryan Taylor. And Callum Williams spins again on turn 2, exactly where he went out earlier on. Still learning his craft, the relative newcomer to mini stocks racing. Tyrone Evans under fire from his brother Lewis once again. This time Lewis has got a run on him on the inside. We're just past halfway. And Lewis Evans takes the lead into turn 1. So Lewis Evans, your new leader, ahead of his brother Tyrone. Jack Witts in 3rd place in this Sheepy Farm Services Trophy final. Trophy presented every year by ex-Brisker F1 man Les Spencer and his V8 racing sons Ollie and Tom. Jack Witts still there in 3rd place. There's Jones, Taylor and Leah Seeley fighting it out. Harley Burns in 299 is up into 4th position. Jones under fire from Taylor. Nearly collects Callum Williams there as he runs wide. Leah Seeley in there behind in 475. All the way from Devon to compete here this weekend. Attack on the back of Jones, that's Ryan Taylor, number 84. He and Leah Seeley had a great rivalry for the Novice of the Year title a couple of years ago, I remember. 311 Jake Boynton about to be lapped, as is Sam Critchley in the 64 car. 233 there, that's one of the Partridge siblings. That's Tilly Partridge, the sister of Toby, who's also out in this race. He's number 223. Jake Boynton gets moved wide by Lewis Evans, who's opened up a bit of a gap now with 3 laps to go. Lewis Evans heading for victory in the Sheepy Farm Services Trophy. Jack Witts wants 2nd place. He gets the bumper in. Whoa, fires Tyrone Evans out wide there. They need to collect Callum Williams, and Witts up into 2nd place. Fantastic racing as always from the young National Mini Stocks racers. It's going to be a win for Lewis Evans by the look of things. He's got Gracie Squire, number 29, ahead of him there. Also in there is number 361, Lucy Shaw. We saw her have a bit of problem at the start of the race. 392 Lewis Evans then coming round to start his final lap. It won't quite be a 1-2 for the twins because Jack Witts is up into 2nd place. There he is in the black and gold car, number 1. But 392 of Lewis Evans down the back straight for the final time. He's going to win the Sheepy Farm Services Trophy for the 2019 season. Out of the final turn, Lewis Evans comes in for victory. 2nd will go to Jack Witts, and Tyrone Evans takes 3rd. Now well clear of everybody else. Looks like it's Harley Burns in 4th place. We'll confirm the rest of the results in just a moment. Early leader Alexi Bartram finishing in the top 10. A great hard-hitting racing as always from the National Mini Stocks. They certainly know no fear, these young racers, the ladies and gents of the future of stock car racing. Lewis Evans the winner then, with brother Tyrone back in 3rd. They're separated by Jack Witts. Harley Burns in 4th, ahead of Alexi Bartram. Finn Hunter Johnson, a good 6th, ahead of Ryan Taylor. Casey J. Jones and Leah Seeley, great battling between those three all the way. And 277 of Tom Rogers rounding out the first 10. Final time for the Brisker Formula 1 stock cars then. We have all 28 qualifiers on the grid for this 20-lap race, and this is for the Al Henderson Memorial Trophy in memory of the long-time Brisker Formula 1 start marshal. The big names out there that have qualified through the heats. Wins so far for Luke Davidson, Sean Willis and Ashley England. On board with Lee Fairhurst on the 217 car. He came through in the consolation race, second behind Ashley England. This is going to be a fast and furious race, to say the least, on the Buxton tarmac. Threat of rain in the air, but holding off for now. The track is dry. This is going to be a very fast-paced race indeed. Kelvin Hassel and Sean Willis will lead the field away. Yellow flags at the moment. Now we go green, and away we go for 20 laps for the Al Henderson Memorial Trophy. Already Tom Harris putting the bumper in on Danny Wainman in among the Reds and Superstars. They're all over each other. Tom Harris, the current grading points leader, following his string of final wins on the shale. Now getting the bumper in on Paul Hines, makes up another couple of places. Side by side for the lead. Sean Willis passes Kelvin Hassel to lead down the home straight. Joe Nichols behind them in 3rd. Paul Hopkins gets a knock. We've lost Courtney Witts on turn 4. She's gone into the wall. Looks like her steering may be broken. Paul Harrison attacking the 175 of Carl Hawkins, but the caution flags are out. I think that's the first caution flag we've had today. The field will form up in single file under the yellow flags. That'll be to retrieve Courtney Witt's car from turn number 4. Looks like she has lost her steering, got caught up there with, I think that's George Elwell in the 501 car, and just slid out wide as a result and hit the wall. So Courtney Witt stationary on the exit of turn 4 with broken steering, and she is out of the race. Ready for a restart then, 287 Sean Willis with the lead ahead of Joe Nichols and Kelvin Hassel. The green flag is out, down the home straight they come. A bit of a tangle there. 172 Mickey Randall gets taken out. He hits the home straight wall. He's come to a stop there, so that may well be another stoppage. The leaders head into the back straight. Oh, and there's more trouble there. That's Paul Harrison and Carl Hawkins have tangled. The yellow comes out again. So it was Mickey Randall, 172, who was spun to one side. He got caught up there with Kelvin Hassel, among others. That was quite a hard impact into the home straight wall. I wonder if Paul Harrison may have gone off avoiding him. We see Tristan Jackson getting caught up there. There's Harrison. Oh, he hit the infield tyres and then went into the side of Carl Hawkins, who rides up over the front of him and then wallop into the wall. That was a big impact for the 175. Back underway then with a rolling single file restart. Sean Willis in 287. The race leader ahead of Joe Nichols. 3rd is the 501 of George Elwell. 4th place we've got 278, that's Paul Hopkins. It's Kelvin Hassel in the number 13. Behind him 422 Ben Riley, the leading blue top. Ahead of Ashley England, Aaron Leach, Bobby Griffin. The first red top is little Ted Wainman in treble 5. Frankie JJ, as we used to call him, known as Little Ted to his family. 287 of Sean Willis, the leader then in the sunshine of Buxton. Has been known to snow in the middle of summer here, though. We're so high up in the hills of the Peak District. We're back underway with this Brisker F1 final for the Al Henderson Memorial Trophy, and Joe Nichols wasting no time getting the bumper straight in on the first turn. He takes the lead as we go down the back straights. It's a very precocious young talent, Joe Nichols, only his second season of Brisker F1. He takes up the lead ahead of Elwell now in second place, and bouncing off the wall there, Aaron Leach, his steering's broken. Very unforgiving Armco barrier here at Buxton. Leach is out of the race. On board with Tom Harris, battling it out with Junior Wainman. And 217 of Lee Fairhurst there on the outside, closing up on Bob Griffin in the 166 car. Seen more action from him on the shale in recent years, Bobby. The inside goes the 84, takes the 166 out wide. That could allow Luke Davidson to duck underneath all three of them. It does so. Good move there. Luke Davidson, our Heat 1 winner, looking for a Heat and final double here. Trying to close in on the lead battlers. Still up front is Joe Nichols, number 242. Had a win in one of the heats at Birmingham last night as well. Can he win the final here today? On board with Lee Fairhurst, chasing 464 of Luke Davidson. In goes the bumper, and he regains the place. Now chasing Kelvin Hassel in number 30. Bumper goes in on the back of Fairhurst, though. Who's coming through? It's Tom Harris, chased by Luke Davidson. Seems like the Reds and Superstars more content to battle among themselves in this one, try and take points off each other. It is, of course, a double points world qualifying round today. And now Kelvin Hassel takes one from Tom Harris, and round goes the white grader. Hassel spins aside. Still your leader is Joe Nichols ahead of George Elwell. Third place Ben Riley in the 4.22. Then we've got Matt Newson in fourth, Junior Wayman fifth, Ashley England sixth, Paul Hopkins seventh, then little Ted Wayman, Sean Willis the early leader, and Tom Harris round out the top 10. Coming up towards half distance in this 20 lap Al Henderson Memorial Final for the Brisker F1s. Joe Nichols still out front. Here comes Junior Wayman, silver roof of the 14 times national points champion. It's a yellow grader still up front, looking for what could be his first ever final win. Chased by Elwell, they're clear of Matt Newson, who's now third, looking for his second final win of the weekend. Of course, many thought he wouldn't be racing this year after a major health scare over the winter. Fairhurst getting a big hit in there, as seen from our onboard camera, on the back of Luke Davidson, that was. 278 and Paul Hopkins taken by Tom Harris, who's starting to make his move towards the front of the field in the J. Davidson scrap metal sponsored car. Jamie Davidson, the father of Luke Davidson. His other son Lee raced Brisker F1 briefly a few years ago as well, under number 494. Well, the two yellow graders still clear of Newson third. It's Junior Wayman now fourth. Ben Riley is fifth. Down the back straight goes Tom Harris, number 84. We ride with him, the European champion, the current points leader, following his string of 4 final wins in a row, was ended last night by Matt Newson at Birmingham. Kelvin Hassel has retired to the centre in the number 13 car, and 555 Junior Wayman gets spun out by Dan Johnson, who rides up the infield tyres there. Kyle Gray and Bradley Harrison behind them. This is further down the order in the lower reaches of the top 10. Dan Johnson under fire from Bradley Harrison, number 25. We've already seen his father Paul carrying one of our onboard cameras today. Still your leader is 242 of Joe Nichols. Is he heading for victory? Dan Johnson under fire again from Bradley Harrison. Going past them, or trying to, is Kyle Gray. He's split them. Now gets some bumper from Harrison. We're coming into the final 5 laps then. 2 yellow graders still up front. Junior Wayman's got ahead of Matt Newson for third place. On board with Tom Harris. He's attacking Ben Riley, who is a blue grader. His wing both red and blue. Flash of flame there from the exhaust of the 422 car, a tarmac specialist. Tom Harris goes past him there coming out of turn 4. Still the 242 of Joe Nichols, looking for his first ever final win. He's had a few heats and consolations in the past, including a heat last night at Birmingham, so he's in good form on the tarmac. Down the home straight, he's got just 3 laps to go. Junior Wayman in third place ahead of Matt Newson. Still second, 501 of George Elwell. Having a great run, the yellow grader. On board with Lee Fairhurst in 217, closing up on Ashley England and Ben Riley, the 2 blue tops. And through into second goes Junior Wayman ahead of Elwell. But Nichols has got away in front now. I don't think Wayman's going to catch him here. It is still the 242 car of Joe Nichols coming round to start his final lap, coming up to lap Phoebe Wayman in 211. On board again with Tom Harris, chasing down Matt Newson for what is now 4th place. Newson runs wide out of turn 2. Harris goes through, but it's going to be a win for 242 Joe Nichols. Here he comes around the final turn to take his first ever final win. Joe Nichols wins it and takes the Al Henderson Memorial Trophy. Second for Junior Wayman. Third is George Elwell, and Tom Harris takes 4th. Superb, faultless drive by Joe Nichols in 242. Only his 2nd season in Brisker F1, and he takes his first ever final win. Hatful of world qualifying points as well. Could we see this young gun in the world final this year? Nichols the winner ahead of Junior Wayman. George Elwell dropping to third a couple of laps from home. Tom Harris taking 4th from Matt Newson going into the last lap, and Lee Fairhurst rounding up the top 6. And Ashley England, Ben Riley, Danny Wayman and Luke Davidson completing the top 10 in the Al Henderson Memorial Final for the Brisker F1s.
242, Joe Nichols, final winner.
Yeah, I think I'd hear that, but I'm really happy with it. I don't know what happened, to be honest. I'd like to see a rerun of it, but I'm really happy with it. Multi-surface car as well, so I've showed these boys with all this money. I've still got a little bit, so I'm really happy with it. spent all week changing it, but I'm really happy.
Yeah, you had results last night at Birmingham as well, so the hard work's paid off, and of course, now you'll have one eye on next week as well.
Yeah, I don't know. We were going well yesterday, but the final didn't break for me, and today it's gone really well. I've never raced it, to be honest, so first time ever. So when I practiced, didn't know what I was doing. I was out braking myself, but yeah, it was all right. I was happy with it.
Well, that's what it's all about. Wrap it up in cotton wool, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, I wish. I've been checking over to do yet, and I'm sure we'll find something broken, even though we've been all right. But yeah, thank you very much.
Congratulations once again to Joe Nichols. One race to go then, the Grand National. 27 cars on track for this one. Kelvin Hassel and Sam Jacklin lead them off, along with Sean Willis. Joe Nichols starting half a lap down as a yellow-grey driver. Whites and yellows can start half a lap down instead of the full lap handicap for a Grand National. Chris Cowley, Matt Newson, Frankie Wayman Jr., Little Ted carrying our onboard camera, pulls the visor down. He's ready to race. This will be 16 laps for the final race of the day here at Buxton Raceway. Danny Wayman alongside Lee Fairhurst. We are underway with the Grand National. The green flag is out. Charge down towards turn one begins this big grid of 27 cars. A bit of rain possibly threatening in the air here as this race gets underway. 3 wide there, Craig Finnegan in the middle in 55. We're all round the first turn okay. We're on board once again with Tom Harris attacking Lee Fairhurst just as he did in the early stages of the final. Tries to get the bumper in, but they both run out wide. Junior Wayneman goes through. Luke Davidson, meanwhile, further forward, attacking the 166 of Bobby Griffin. Early leaders Sean Willis and Kelvin Hassel, as we saw earlier on. Bit of smoke there from the back of Jacklin, who's repaired his rear axle in the meantime. Down the home straight, 55, Craig Finnegan under fire from 16 of Matt Newson. Phoebe Wayman gets a knock from 37, Chris Cowley. On board once again with Tom Harris, trying his hardest to make his way up the field. It's rare we see a meeting in Brisker F1 without at least one win for Tom Harris. He's not taken a win yet today. He was winless at Birmingham last night as well. Phoebe Wayman gets sent wide there on turns 1 and 2. Nigel Green attacking the treble 5 of Little Ted Wayman. He plants him into a parked car. That's of 278 Paul Hopkins. Chris Cowley's gone as well. His rear wheel's been mangled. Hopkins into the wall and the treble 5, and Hopkins crashes into Wayman. Goodness me, the front wheel of Hopkins' car into the side of the cab of the treble 5. Big shunt there on turns 3 and 4, and the race brought under caution. We'll see what happened there. Well, Chris Cowley went first. He was the car that spun out on turn 3. As he tries to rejoin, we'll see what happened. Oh, he hit the inner tyres, and that damaged his rear wheel. The leaders just missed him, so that's what happened to Chris Cowley. And then further back, Paul Hopkins got put in. We didn't see who by. A couple of other cars went in there. We just saw from Tom Harris. And this is what happened to the treble 5 car. Nigel Green put the bumper in. He smashed into the parked car of Hopkins, and then it was Aaron Leach who was parked up there as well. And then as they tried to get going again, Hopkins, with no steering, crashes into the treble 5 of Wayneman, and lucky not to damage his cab. That was a big shunt, and young Wayneman is lucky to escape unharmed there. Big accident there on turn 4. You can see the position of the front wheel of Paul Hopkins' car from Little Ted Wayneman's onboard camera. Luckily everyone is okay. There are a couple of other cars involved that piled into that as well. And we are ready to get back underway with 287 Sean Willis in the lead ahead of Kelvin Hassel and Courtney Witts. Carl Hawkins, I think, was the other car involved there on turns 3 and 4. There was so much going on there, it was difficult to keep up with it. I wonder if there is a bit of rain coming down out there and making the track a little slippery. Paul Hopkins is okay, Carl Hawkins, Little Ted Wayneman and Chris Cowley as well. Sean Willis managed to dodge all that. He's still your leader, and we're back underway with this Grand National event. 5 laps completed. That's going in already up there on turns 3 and 4. Tristan Jackson and Nigel Green in the middle of that. There definitely is a little bit of rain falling now. Nigel Green on the back of Jackson. Good battle here between the Reds and Superstars, but the lower graders continuing to set the pace up front. Tom Harris on the back of Craig Finnegan, the 55 car. Over the last couple of seasons, he's done the majority of his racing over in the Netherlands. Several drivers after this meeting will be heading off to Venray. I know Luke Davidson is one of them. On On board with Tom Harris attacking 2-1-2 of Danny Wainman. Bobby Griffin in this group as well. Harris forces his way down the inside, makes up the place. Coming up to half distance in this Grand National. Tyre smoke there, somebody locking up ahead. That was Courtney Witts in 180. We said earlier, this track tough on brakes and tyres, with tight turns and long straights. Your leader is Sean Willis, number 287. Here he comes out of turn 4, and Luke Davidson's up into second place. Ashley England is third. Then we've got Kelvin Hassel, and Matt Newson is into fifth. They're up the inside on turns 1 and 2 goes Davidson. He's going to pull alongside the leader down the back straight and takes the lead from Sean Willis in 287. Davidson looking for a second win of the day. Meanwhile, Matt Newson with the bumper on the 13 of Kelvin Hassel. In behind them is the 501 of George Elwell. There's Neil Scriven, number 11. He and his brother Michael will be getting ready for the British Championship at Hensford, their favourite circuit. Michael Scriven has a string of final wins under his belt at Hensford over the years, and bumpers going in there on the back of Junior Wainman. That was Nigel Green using Tristan Jackson as a cue ball there to fire him into the back of Wainman. He does the same again on turn 1. This is good stuff in the midfield. The lower graders have been able to get away, with the exception of Luke Davidson, who's fired through from red top into the lead once more. Just a few laps to go now. Nigel Green on the back of Junior Wainman. They've had a bit of a rivalry over the years. Dan Johnson pulling off in number 4, we caught a glimpse of there. Davidson clear ahead of England. Then it's Newson, Willis and Elwell, your top 5. 6th place is our camera car, Tom Harris, chasing after the 501 of George Elwell. Into turn 3, looks at the inside of the yellow grader. Came home in front of the Grand National at Birmingham last night. The car failed post-race scrutineering, giving Kelvin Hassel the win. Congratulations once again to Kelvin on his wins in the Grand National and the consolation last night. His first ever Brisker F1 win. He's in the places here at the moment. See where he comes in this Grand National. We're in the closing stages now, just a couple of laps to go. Luke Davidson all set for victory, and Hassel being shuffled back down the order now. In fact, Davidson into his last lap as the rain really starts to come down now, right on the final lap of the day. It won't hold Davidson back. Down the back straight he goes. He's heading for his second win of the day. He took the win in the opening heat. He's going to win the closing race as well, the Grand National, as the rain lashes down here at Buxton. Davidson takes a clear win in 4.64. Matt Newson comes over in second, and it's Ashley England in third. Tom Harris next home ahead of early leader Sean Willis, then Courtney Witts and the rest of them. Danny Wainman spinning out in the background there, you can see on the final turn, as the cloud burst that Buxton is so famous for finally arrives. No snow this time though. As the crowd begins to run for their cars, Luke Davidson the winner in 4.64 ahead of Matt Newson and Ashley England. Tom Harris coming through for 4th place ahead of Sean Willis, the early leader. Courtney Witts in 6th ahead of Craig Finnegan. And George Elwell dropping back to 8th in the closing stages ahead of Neil Scriven and Nigel Green rounding out the top 10.
4.64, Luke Davidson. Started the day with a win, ended it with a win.
Yeah, we started the day with a heat win. We altered it for the final. It didn't really work out. It went backwards towards the end of the race, but put it back to how it was in the heat, and yeah, we won the national. It was good. Like I said again, just getting through that traffic early on is a must round here. So we did it, and we come away with a win.
And a bit of a lucky break at the end. The weather certainly changed on the last lap. Had that been a couple of laps earlier, that would have changed a lot.
Oh yeah, I think there was 4 or 5 laps to go, and it started drizzling. I seen a bit on the visor. As soon as a 1 lap board come out, I went into turn 1 and woof, what's that? But obviously it started raining heavy. But yeah, luckily we got away with it. See a few cars spun out, but we got round and took the win.
And a very useful haul of points for today as well.
Yeah, good points. So yeah, it's good. We didn't have a good night last night, so we've made up with some good points today. So double qualifying points. As I said before, it's Kingsland, so it's not really for me. So, but we've had a good day all in all.
And of course, you can take it home in one piece and get ready for next weekend.
Well, we're going Venray now. We're loading up now and going straight to Venray to race tomorrow. So we've got a bit of travelling to do. So
yeah, just a short trip. But you can't get enough racing.
No, you can't get enough racing. No, just a short trip. Should be there for about 7 o'clock in the morning.
Well, best of luck over there as well.
Thank you very much.
All that remains then is to have a look at the points after this meeting at Buxton, and Tom Harris's recent string of final victories have taken him to the top of the points, clear of Frankie Wainman Jr. Early leader Nigel Green goes down to third ahead of Matt Newson and Danny Wainman, but a long way to go in the 2019 season yet. Plenty more great meetings to come in front of our cameras and around the UK for the Brisker F1s. That just about wraps up the action from a fast and furious day here at Buxton, the rain holding off until right at the end of the meeting. Congratulations once again to Joe Nichols on his first final win in the sport. That's all here from Buxton then. Join us soon for the British Championship from the Fast Bowl of Hensford Hills Raceway. Thanks very much for watching. Goodbye for now.